Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. Our campaign is entitled At Your Door. It was written by N.L. Eisenwell, Mark Morrison, Barbara Manoui, Chris Adams, Scott D. Aniolowski, and Herbert Hike. Our recap will be given by Keith Craig, and this is episode 4. So without any further delay, let's begin our journey into the darkness. Keith?
Thank you, Tom. Memorandum for Mr. Robert Jatick from Dr. Heather Mills. Subject, daily report on investigation into the disappearance of Dr. Tate. Date, August 2nd, 1991. Mr. Jatick, we've continued the investigation into the disappearance of Dr. Tate. We arrived at his combo and found it empty as we expected. We did successfully discover what he used all those VHS tapes for, as he liked to record his predilections. But it did not look like he kept the creature here, as he did not have any of his dietary needs stored. As we were traveling down the hallway, we found an interesting newspaper clipping of Dr. Tate getting an award from a Dr. Finley of the Dawn Biocide. The award was for originating procedures for improving commercial possibilities of recombinant technologies. We hadn't found any record of this before. Another interesting thing we found was that he had recently transferred some money into another account. But again, we haven't been able to figure out what it was for or to what account he transferred it in, as no statement was present. We found a computer, but we had no idea on the password. Fortunately, Dr. Evans knew a trick to remove the hard drive and plug it into another computer to be able to get around the password. We quickly disassembled the computer and took the hard drive with us. On the way back to the lab, we decided to swing by the park where his car was found, but found nothing of interest except for some punk kids that did not know what a $20 bill was. Tests on the creature show it only responds to live creatures, and it has no response to any inanimate objects. We have no idea how it senses any other life form. We're not even sure if it is a plant or an animal, as it seems to have traits of both. It was of interesting note that it seems to use an ambush hunting tactic that once it stops moving, it looks like an old tree stump and then pounces on its prey. Anyway, Dr. Evans gets the computer drive open, and there's a lot of information on there. We did find a folder for his work password, electrophoresis, pronunciation probably wrong. Also, a login program for Dawn Biocide. His last business email was a notification of his firing. One last piece of information we found was that mysterious number we had told you about apparently is tied to a Harold Gall. He was the person that we talked to earlier but didn't want to talk to us. Anyway, we plan on heading out to Delilah to check out this farm, so expect a billing expense for the gas. Okay.
All right. So, I want to give you a little bit of time to regather your thoughts. So you arrive back at the hotel, and you head up stairs. You head up to the you probably freshen up, then you head up to the Scat Cat Lounge, and you order drinks. You sit there. You chit chat for a while, and after right around 8:00, an announcer comes out, and he says, "Ladies and gentlemen, the sultry, sexy sounds of Mr. Panther Latoy." And a jazz musician is there playing a saxophone, and he plays very, very sexy and hauntingly beautiful, and so much so that it sort of captures your attention. This guy looks like he's maybe an older gentleman, maybe in his 60s, dressed like what you'd expect a jazz musician to dress like. He has dark sunglasses. He just exudes cool. And you can see that there are some fans. There's some people who have come up here specifically to listen to him. Maybe they're related, maybe they're groupies or whatever. You can also see that he has CDs for sale on the side. And he's going to play for maybe 45 minutes and then take a break. It's not so loud that it means you can't talk, but somehow it's just kind of really nice. This guy looks like he's got a lot of experience. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's familiar with being a musician for so long. And what do you guys want to do?
I wonder if he would know anything about God's Lost Children. I know it's not his style of music, but if he's been around the local music scene, maybe he's heard a bit more about them than we have.
Well,
Yeah.
that's a shot.
Yeah. Bartender, dirty martini, please.
Of course, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So we'll say after 45 minutes or so, he leans forward to the microphone and he's like, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to take a 15-minute break, and I'll be back after that. And he gets up and he sets his saxophone into a sort of cradle. He goes up to the bar and he orders himself a drink, and he sits at an empty table over to the side of the stage.
So I'll go over there and say hello.
Hello.
I have to say, I really liked your set there. I can't wait to hear some more. I've always been a big fan of jazz.
Oh, thank you so much. I've been playing for as long back as I can remember. And he has a definite sort of New Orleans sound to his voice.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's sort of sweet Southern sound.
Yeah, I used to sing in
Go ahead.
I used to sing in a jazz ensemble back when I was younger.
You're a singer. Wow.
I dabble.
It's like, well, I haven't seen you here before. So you're new to the area?
Yeah. Here on business.
So many people are.
Yeah, it seems to be
your friends over there?
Yeah, we've got some colleagues of mine.
Y'all look like businessmen.
Yep. This is a nice place. Do you come around here often?
Oh, I play here off and on. I play all over the place. I play wherever they want to hire me. I'm getting a little old, but to rock with the youngins, but I do pretty good.
Well, are there many other jazz musicians who kind of tour the local scene?
Oh, there's lots of jazz musicians. I wouldn't like to brag and say none of them quite as good as I am on the saxophone, but there's good ones out there.
Now, how are you familiar with a lot of the musicians who play around here?
Most of them.
Okay, have you heard?
When you're in the business, you get to know everybody. People have reputations.
Now, my colleagues and I, when we got into the city, we had a run-in with, I think, some of the fans of a local group, something called GLC. Have you heard of them?
God's Lost Children? Yeah. I've played with them, actually. At least on
really?
3 occasions I've played with them, yeah.
Are they nice people?
They're okay, about what you'd expect. They put on kind of that sort of devilish persona that so many musicians do nowadays, but it's more an act than anything else. Just attracts a certain crowd, and that crowd can be kind of rough. Bikers and Hell's Angels, people like that, but they're okay.
Mostly just
just musicians.
Okay, and they mostly just stick around to bars and whatnot?
Most of the time, they're going to be playing out at Hades Retreat, out in Pan's Wash.
Okay.
It's about 10 miles outside of town, toward the south. But you gentlemen, I don't think you want to go there. You're not the biker type.
Nah, maybe you're probably right. I'll see, if a girl bought one of your CDs, would you mind signing it for her?
Oh, of course. Of course, I'll sign it for you. And
Excellent.
he picks one up and signs his name and puts it there. Well, he asks you first, what's your name, honey?
Margaret.
To Margaret, with love, Panther Latoy. He hands it to you. He says, you can just call me Panther.
Panther? Well, it's nice to meet you, Panther. Hope to hear playing again soon. I have to get back to my colleagues, but...
Sure. You enjoy your evening.
Yes, you as well. Excited to hear you play again. And I'll walk back to...
Meanwhile, over at the table, we've been watching this surreptitiously.
I know, it's just like...
Some amusement.
Also,
Creepily.
also, while Margaret was over there, I'm going to bring up, is Don Biosign, do we know if it's traded openly on the market? Like, can it be found on the stock exchange?
Oh, I gave you all that information.
Yeah, my assistant brought back some data about that. I
think so.
Yeah, I think that was mentioned.
I was
controlling
just
interests.
wondering
Yeah.
what they were traded at, if that was the 3 letters that was carved into the vehicle.
Oh, they're oh yeah, their stock.
No, they're
It would
DBs.
be like DBZ. So
Okay, I thought of that earlier, and
no, and that is the parent company is pretty slippery. So
Right.
that is a matter of interest for sure.
Yeah, so if Don Biozyme isn't publicly traded, I'm sure somewhere up in its
just a
chain
thought.
of ownership
Thought
is-
maybe since he worked there, maybe that was something that clicked in and he scratched it in.
Yeah. No, offhand, I think that was it's majority owned by a family company that that moved to the Bahamas or some such shelter and started hiding most of his documentation. But we'll
Yeah.
keep looking for it.
So
Yeah, although
Margaret,
that is good. That is a good idea. We could look up those letters on the stock exchange.
yeah, just a shot in the dark.
And now, what was the last name of the Japanese Panther
Latoy.
Latoy. Yeah.
Latoy?
It's a French name.
Okay. And then he said was it Hades Park?
Hades
Hades
Retreat.
Retreat
Retreat at
Hades
Pan
Retreat.
Wash.
and Pan's Wash.
Hades Wash. 10
Did you give
miles
us the
south.
full address? Because we love writing those down, Tom.
No.
It's Hades Retreat and Pan's Wash on Satan's Avenue and the corner of
It's
You
on the
Corner of Hell and High Water.
It's on the backside of Satan's Avenue.
Oh, the worst side.
Now, do we have that book, the Gentleman's Address book with all the stars in it,
I don't
with
know if
us?
you
Or
want to keep that.
I mean, I know we took it from the house. I just don't know if we have it on us or if it's in
We'll
the...
say that you're collecting evidence and putting it in your lab.
Yeah.
In your headquarters.
And
Tomorrow...
you took those tapes too, Ethan. So we
Yeah.
grabbed those music tapes. So
Those I know I gave to the assistants. I just didn't know if we were holding on to the book. If we came across the name, we could look into it, see if it's in the book.
All
I was
right,
just-
we could look for
Panther
our musician
Latoy.
friend over there in his book or his tapes, and
Your musician friend, I think.
What did he give you? His number? I saw him writing something on the CD.
no, just his signature.
Oh, all right.
I'll look at the CD. Is it self-produced? And any of the songs seem to be song titles? Are they the basic jazz trope song titles, or anything stand out?
It's
Midnight Love.
its production company is Red Monkey, and Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of standards on there. A lot of it is free-form jazz.
Okay.
So it's got interesting little names to things like, Sunset Over Tunisia and
Right.
the Badaboon and whatever.
Right. Good. I'm gonna. All right. Is his groupie still hanging out?
Yeah, it looks like they might have come with him or brought him or whatever.
Are they predominantly female?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go over and chit chat with them. Being a fellow lady, maybe won't be able to get in good. I'll come over with a drink and I'll ask them if they're the usual crowd that comes sees this musician.
Oh well, we aren't really huge fans, but yeah, we if we see him in town, he's just so good.
Oh, he's phenomenal and stuff. So he's not local, is what you're implying? He's not a local act.
He's all over the place. So yeah, we've seen him in New Orleans, and we've seen him in.
Oh,
but he's I think he lives here in San Damiel now.
right. Oh yeah. So
sometimes he's even downstairs during the day, playing at the what do I want to say, the farmers market.
Oh yeah, just scatting outside.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Yeah, that's cool. Is there usually does he draw a pretty consistent audience? Like we're looking for a friend of ours that was a fan of his, and I'm just wondering if you've seen him before.
Well, he's been on a number of albums, so yeah. I think he's one of those musicians that sort of gets around, So he's been on a number of major labels, but not as the major part of it, just as a background feature.
Yeah, the hired gun on there. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Oh, but like I said, we were looking for a friend of ours that was a fan of his, and we just wondering, and I pull out a picture of Dr. Tate, the one with him holding the vials that you've given us. I was like, hey, you seen this gentleman?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, I appreciate that and all. Hopefully he gets back up on stage. I always hate these set breaks.
And he gets back up on stage and starts playing. The first thing he says is, "I want to dedicate this first song to Miss Margaret Evans." He plays something really, really haunting and beautiful.
But she only said her name was Margaret.
All right. So, what else do you want to do? Do you want anything else this evening, or do you want to go to bed and then start in the morning?
Let's make plans for the morning. Are we gonna go right out to the farm? We should get an early start.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think going out to the farm is probably a good choice.
Did we leave? There's new security at the lab. Did we leave a skeleton crew, or was it assumed that experiments were going to start again in the morning?
Experiments would start in the morning.
Yeah, so we can call into the lab and then head out of town. We've given plenty of ideas, I think, for people to work on while we're away. It'll be 5 or 6 hours if we find nothing, so a full day.
Mm-hmm.
So what time are we going to meet in the lobby?
I'm not used to California time yet. It's pretty early for me. Well, you want to say 8 o'clock? Do you want to eat together?
Yeah, let's grab a bite to eat, but then let's meet at 7:30 to eat, so we're on the road by 8:15.
Dr. Flores, where's your character from? Where did he fly in from?
Do you know, I never specified a birthplace. I left as needed on the character sheet, so that because there was a previous game where I happened to be just farther away and it was pointless, but made me take a helicopter.
Okay. Well, I was just thinking, if you're from back east, California time is actually later, so 10 a.m. would feel like.
Oh, right. Yes, that's the way it goes. Never mind. I came from the Philippines.
Yeah.
I've been based in the Philippines recently.
Okay, that makes sense. All right. So what time did you want to meet?
7:30.
Okay. And we will assume that you have breakfast and everything. Did you want to take anything with you? Any supplies?
Some extra bottles of water and some snacks.
Okay.
Even if I gotta buy some like muffins or chips, anything, just to have some road munchies with us.
Yeah, we got a bunch of Evian earlier today. I don't know how much, but we've drunk, but stuff like that, basics.
Yeah. Bring a flashlight because,
Yeah, a couple of flashlights and some batteries. That farm might not have power.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I'm sure we're gonna have to gas up at some point before we get there, just so we have a full tank.
And I don't want to sound too paranoid, but do we have any firearms?
Well, I requisitioned the tranquilizer gun. I don't know if it came in. I forgot to ask about it.
Yeah. Tranquilizer gun would be good. Maybe some bear spray.
Bear spray would definitely be good. We can swing by the lab, I guess, on our way over and see if it's a tranq rifle is what I requested. So that's what I'm used to using in my, zoologist at the exhibits. There's always one. I'm very familiar with it. I've fired it before.
I can't
What
imagine
tranquilizers do you
it's
typically
going
use?
to affect a creature that gives off cyanide gas.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that, Doctor.
I said I can't imagine that bear spray is going to bother creatures that give off cyanide gas.
Correct. You never know.
Well, there could be bears out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know from Delilah.
We can say that, because they did animal testing at Zemvatech previously, then they've probably got tranquilizer pistols and whatever that sort of thing you need. All right. So you guys are all packed up. You're ready to go. Are you going to bring any personal stuff with you in case you decide to spend the night?
No, I am not, because I'm going with the assumption that I'm not thinking I'm spending the night. So.
Okay.
Yep, same here.
All right, gentlemen. So you start on your drive. By 8 o'clock, you're on the road. What the hell was that? It's a Shoggoth. I'm playing right now.
Dom, did you remember to play and walk your Shoggoth every day?
I forgot to feed
If
him.
you don't.
All right. So you head out up into the mountains, the low mountains. It's mostly hills. And after about an hour and a half, you go off the side road that you see leads to Delilah. Now, when you arrive in Delilah, you have one small problem. It's not a big problem. It's a small problem. And that's that you don't exactly know where the farm is. But you know it's out in Delilah. And Delilah is not a very big town.
Right.
You arrive in Delilah. It calls it the small hamlet of Delilah. And when you arrive, you're a little tired. You're a little hungry. You've had some snacks, but you also need gas. There's a gas station, and there's a little diner.
Right. Do they have any maps? Because I remember, speaking of how much we enjoy writing an address, is I have 7 Lancaster Road, Delilah, for the farm.
Well, when you're actually out there, let's play that into the story. So you go in. You're going to go into the diner.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
All
Get
right.
some diner, some flapjacks.
When you get to the diner, there's an assorted number of pickup trucks out in the front. There's old autos. When you walk through the door, even before you walk through the door, you can hear Elvis singing out of the dusty old jukebox.
How long did the drive end up taking?
Just about almost 2 hours.
Okay, so not as bad as we thought.
No. And so we'll say that it's 10 o'clock in the morning. You can see there's a few people in there who are eating breakfast. They all look like they're dressed kind of farmer-like. Let's say there's maybe 3 or 4 families that are having breakfast and just sitting there listening to music and chatting. So the waitress comes up to you. Hi, hon. Just sit anywhere you want. We'll take care of you.
Thank you.
Is there one older guy drinking coffee alone at the counter?
Sure. Okay.
Isn't there always?
Yeah.
Because if the waitress is not going to be forthcoming about anything, I think that the lone guy drinking coffee at the counter is always a good try.
Okay. So you sit someplace. She brings you coffee. She brings you breakfast. What do you want to do?
When she brings over the coffee and sits it down, we'll just ask you like, "Oh, we're looking for a road, Lancaster Road number 7."
Yeah, that's out in farm country. Which particular place you're going?
Well, we're looking for a friend's home. It's Tate is his last name, but I believe it used to be owned by. Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Mike, where is that Tate farm? Yeah, the old Gall place. And he says, "Oh, you guys are heading out to Peter's farm?"
Yeah.
He says, "All right." It says it's really easy to find. He says, "You're going to follow Main Street. That's this one. Take the left fork at the barn with the green roof. That'll take you over this side of the ridge. Go down into the valley, across the creek, turn right at the old cow skull."
Right at the cow skull. Okay.
That's Laurel's place. There with the skull. Makes it look like a real Western place.
Yeah.
Climb a few miles past that along Miller's Lane, and there you are. You'll find it. You can't miss it.
Did he come in here a lot?
Right-hand side. Oh, Peter? Well,
Yeah.
He just moved up here. As far as I know, we saw him. He introduced himself to us a few days ago. We haven't seen him since, but he came into the general store and got some stuff. And
Yeah, I think he came out here to get away from things in the city, so I wouldn't be surprised if he holed up for a little bit.
well, it's a good place.
It used to be the Gall place. Were they farming it?
Harold Gall. Yeah. What a piece of work that guy was.
Not a local?
Well, he had the farm for years, but not a very nice person. Got to admit, it's probably the best farm in the valley. It's the guy knew his soils. The guy knew how to grow things, but was not a nice guy. For a while, he rented out his fields, let other people, work just for the money. Some farmers do that.
Sure.
And he used to come running out and chase them off and say, your machinery is making too much noise. It's upsetting my experiment. And what a piece of shit that guy was. We're all glad to see him gone.
I wonder. That's funny. What kind of experiments was he
I
doing?
don't know. He was some kind of a researcher for the I guess for the agricultural department.
I guess if he had a real deft hand with soil, he might have known what he was doing. But if you're going to lease your land to people, you can't complain about their machinery.
No, he finally stopped. He just kept it all to himself, and it still grows really nice. I'm sure that Peter's going to really enjoy living out there. He can either run it himself, or he can rent it out like Gall used to.
Yeah.
Do you know where Gall went?
No idea.
Just glad to see the backside of him.
Yeah, wasn't a social man at all.
Couple quick questions. One, you have a payphone here?
Sure, right over there.
Two, if you could make up a couple sandwiches to go for us.
Of course.
And,
Good idea.
And three, where's the general store from here?
General store's right across the street.
Thank you. And I throw a couple bucks like extra on the table as a tip. You know,
Okay, well, you're not really done yet.
Yeah, but I'm just, I'll be right back. And I'm going to go to the payphone.
Yeah.
And I want to call my research assistant and tell her if she can track down any information on Harold Gall, who he is, where he works, anything and everything you could find on him.
Okay.
And I'll hang up the phone and come back to the table. Okay. When the waitress is out of earshot, I'll inform them that, hey, guys, I put a call into the office. I want to have them look up Harold Gall, see if they can get anything. Maybe
we do have an address for him, so they've got that already. He's on Beach Road in San Damiel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but we don't know anybody's past.
Yeah, who he worked for. Maybe there's something out there.
So I would like you all, as you are eating your breakfast, to do some eavesdropping rolls, so some listen rolls. You're hearing things that people are talking about in the other booths.
No good.
Hidden, right?
What's that?
Nothing here.
Anybody pass?
No.
43 out of 50. Spot hidden, right?
Listen.
Oh, sorry.
You didn't.
No, I felt.
Yeah, Mom always said I wasn't a good listener.
Oh my God! None of you pass.
The food is so good.
I'm gonna give you at least one. I'll have you do it again, but let's see. You hear the people in the booth next to you talking about Jack and Maddie Laurel. Now, you just heard the reference of Laurel's farm, where the cow skull is. Apparently, they just buried their daughter, Jeanette. Poor kid was playing on the roof of their barn, and she slipped and fell.
I'm not going to intrude on that conversation.
No, you don't want to intrude on it. These are other conversations. You guys can do another listen roll.
So are you sure that's what happened to her? Was she maybe attacked by some evil stump?
Ooh.
Yeah, still not listening. Still
I
not
got
listening.
6.
Oh, good.
Dr. Lees, you passed.
Yep.
Ethan, you...
I failed by 2. I was going to say I'll burn some luck if nobody passed.
Hold on to that.
Well, let's see. We'll give you a random one. You hear him talking about Frank Taggart's boy, Stephen, still isn't back after running away. Frank Taggart's boy, Stephen, still isn't back after running away. That makes 7 times that he's pulled that stunt. Frank isn't too worried, even though it's been a few months. He reckons Steve will be back when he's broken hungry. You'd think a lad of 16 would know better. He took Greg Yardley's dog with him. Greg reckons Frank owes him a dog.
I think so, too.
Anyone else want to try again?
I have better Spanish than I have listen. Are there any Spanish speakers in Dinah?
Okay, do a Spanish roll.
40 exactly.
And I got an 06 on the listen.
Okay.
Hey.
Nice.
Let's see. Dr. Desmond, you hear something about Manuela. She's been carrying on about gold in the hills again. Everyone's heard that one before. She's the only one who still believes it. And Dr. Margaret, you hear It's been a bad year all around, really. There's the sudden drought, and then there was the bad frost in the spring. Some farmers might be seeing their last summer. There's no predicting the weather these days. And other than that, you guys here talk about sports, politics, marriages, pregnancies, illnesses, etc.
This local gossip stuff is okay.
Gossip.
So this is a small hamlet. What do we think in that part of the country? Does that mean it's 500 people?
Yeah, maybe 300 at the most.
Yeah.
And most of those are not centered in the town. They're out on farms.
Farms around.
Rural.
Seems like this little place has had a lot of misfortune lately.
Yeah.
But a lot of little places have.
I'm wondering if we should swing by that general store just to see if there's any last minute things we might need. I mean, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but it can't hurt to browse.
I don't think I've ever been in a proper Western general store.
We can get cigarettes to bribe teenagers there, probably.
That's right. That's right. We do need those.
Yes. I think
carry bribery smokes.
Heather might need that.
All right.
Yeah.
So you pay your meal. It's about 10:30, 10:45. You walk across the street to the general store. Okay. You walk in, the little bell rings. Ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. Welcome, folks. What can I do for you?
Good late morning to you. We're on our way out to Peter Tate's place and wondered if there is anything you think he could use since we're passing through in a hurry.
I don't know. Peter was in here a couple days ago. Seems like a nice kid.
I think he is.
Just an older guy.
Did he buy all the hamburger? He was supposed to be grilling something. Did he pick up that big hamburger?
No, I didn't pick up any hamburger. He did buy a steak.
Oh,
And some potatoes.
oh well, maybe he changed his mind on the meal. Steak sounds better to me.
But yeah, he's gonna do just fine out there. It's a good farm.
You got a newspaper? You guys sell a newspaper here?
Sure.
Yeah, I'll take that and a pack of Camels.
We got a couple of newspapers. We've got the Squamish. You're in Squamish County.
Oh,
Probably something you already know. Squamish County Gazette and the San Damiel Herald.
Well,
Okay.
we'll pick one of each. I love the local paper.
Grab two of each. That way we could both be looking.
Okay.
yeah.
Anything? Did he pick up supplies and stuff? Anything? I don't know. We were gonna give him a little housewarming gift. We figured it would be kind of
general
neat.
supplies. He said he had just arrived and was going to go stay out there. Wanted something to eat. I figured he'd be back the next day, but he didn't show up. He's probably busy looking around the farm.
I heard the place had the best soil around. How many acres did it take up?
Oh, you shouldn't ask me that. I have no idea how many acres. It's not a huge farm because
A moderate number of acres.
farm.
Oh, it's a nice number. All right.
Yeah,
You can do a lot of work with that.
Yeah.
I guess 40 acres and a mule is standard.
I heard somebody named Gall used to own it beforehand.
Harold Gall.
That's
And
the
you
way
get
everybody
pretty
says.
You get pretty much the same thing.
I laugh and I say, that's exactly, every time I mention a name, I get the same reaction. That's funny. I don't even know the man, and I feel like he must have been a pain in the behind.
He was a man who had a nice piece of farm work out there, and I guess he was working for the agricultural company, and he was working on making the soil good, and the soil was good, and everything grew out there. And people wanted to rent his property to plant their crops on it, and he did that for a while and then stopped, and he just said he didn't give a shit about the money.
Yeah, must be nice.
Yeah, he was a selfish fucking bastard. Pardon my English.
We're
Good
all
riddance.
adults.
Good riddance to him.
He was out there all alone, I guess.
Oh, yeah, for years.
Was he an older guy?
No, probably in his late 50s when he left.
And he'd been around for some time, so he came here as a young man, lived in solitude, and was mean to everybody.
Pretty much.
Seems like a terrible life.
Peter keeps teasing us. He keeps saying when we come up to visit the farm, watch out for bears. Is there really bears around here?
Well, a lot of the farms butt right up against the forest, the Squamish National Forest. So there could be, sure. They're just going to be California black bears. They're not much bigger than dogs, but their claws are that long, so you don't want to mess with one. Make a lot of noise, scare them away. Of course, you don't want to come between a mom and its baby.
Do you have any of those?
Yeah, bear spray would work. Yeah, we got bear spray.
Okay.
And the horns that make the loud noise? The air horns, the bear,
Do they have such things? Sure. Yeah.
Could you put a bow on a canister of bear spray for me? I'm thinking that would be a good gift.
You want a bow?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think I have anything like that. Maybe Christmas time.
Maybe some twine or something.
Well, just as a joke,
Wine.
Yeah.
we're gonna get a couple cans of the bear spray just as
We'll
a
fix
joke,
it
and
up
I'll
with
get
some
one of them
wine.
horns.
All right. He says, yeah. Tell
You know
Peter
what?
he's quite welcome here.
Put one on for each of us. I will all come up with a can and make a joke about it.
All right. So he laughs with you, and he does that. He says, anything else I can help you gentlemen with?
Well, that'll be it. That's all I needed. Got my smokes, got my paper.
All right. I'm trying to find how old Harold's column is.
It is my purpose to ask annoying questions.
It's exactly what I said because it doesn't say. So.
Yep.
All right.
Back in the truck. You got those directions over the creek. Turn left at the skull.
It's right at
the
Skull.
green barn.
It's Main Street. We'll take a left at the green roofed barn, and we go down into the dale and valley. Then we'll take a right at a cow skull. I guess we'll know what they're talking about when we see it. I assume a real cow skull.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So you pull out, and very shortly, you sort of realize why they gave you the directions the way they did, because the streets turn to gravel. They're no longer paved. And you see, of course, mailboxes and things like that. And you follow the instructions. Now, as you are turning the corner where the cow skull is, you notice a man dressed in overalls, a farmer, an older man. Looks like he's maybe in his early 50s. And he's just walking down the road, walking actually towards you as you are going past him.
Mm-hmm.
Or rather, you're about to pass him.
Right.
You're just going to pass him?
Yeah. Who's driving?
I thought I was.
Okay.
I'll slow down and just beep the horn and see if he...
When you beep the horn, he sort of looks at you, frowns, and then just keeps going.
I think that might be Jack Laurel. He might just be depressed.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
It's definitely the Laurel Farm right to his left. All right.
Okay.
He doesn't look, he just sort of is walking idly down the road.
Yeah, he looks definitely depressed.
He looks depressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how we would intrude on that.
All
yeah,
right.
I just did a little beep. I wasn't like honking at him, the beep beep. Like if he needed something, he'd turn. Oh, my car broke down, or
Yeah, because there are a lot of roads in the U.S. where if you see somebody walking on the side, it's
You honk.
yeah, and it's a surprise because there are no sidewalks and everyone's in a car.
Right. And there is no sidewalk here.
Yeah.
So you go down a little bit farther down the road. You can see that it becomes the street that you're looking for, the road that you're looking for. And you come upon the edge of a nice looking farm. Everything is green and growing. You can see buildings off in the distance. And you can see that you're coming along up to a gate. Only the gate is busted. It's broken. It's lying in the road.
Okay, so it looks like the gate got busted out from someone driving away from the buildings.
Yeah, it looks like a departure, not an entry.
You also notice little sparkles of glass in the road. And the gate is yellow.
Okay,
That
that was my
yellow.
next one. Yeah.
We have a match. I've got paint scraps. I bet they'll.
Yeah, there'd be like some blue left over on the gate from his car.
I assume this looks not just healthy, but much lusher than what's around it.
Well, it doesn't look really any different than any farm, but it's definitely nice and green and well cared for.
Fruit trees and a greenhouse. Pretty fancy spread. I imagine that Peter spent a lot of money on this.
Yeah.
maybe that's where that other account withdrawal was.
Yeah, I would think. Did we happen to notice the constabulary situation in Delilah? Was it the courthouse or sheriff station right downtown?
You saw a very small sheriff station. It looked like it would be the building for maybe a desk and maybe a jail cell, and probably
Dick Griffith style.
Yeah, pretty much one person or maybe two people at the most.
It seems really strange that this gate could be busted open in a town this small, and nobody would come out to check.
Well, this farm is actually quite remote.
Yeah.
Nobody would be driving past. The road ends not too far, farther down the road.
Fair enough.
So you are, at the moment, you are stopped at the gate.
Yeah.
And you're seeing it on the ground.
All right. Well, I'm going to get out and I'm going to check and see if there is like a transfer of the car's paint onto the gate and see if
it's definitely the gate is scraped up. It looks like the gate's also a little bit bent and twisted. So it was definitely hit by a car from the inside out. And you can also see quite clearly skid marks and places where the wheels dug into the ground as it came down that driveway. It was not going in a straight direction. It was swerving wildly, you might guess.
Ethan, let's take a second and just tug these gates inside the property. And let's drive real carefully over the broken glass. We can scoot it aside with our feet a little bit.
I wanted to also take a look. Was it just that the tire tracks for that car, or it's gravel, or is it dirt?
It's gravel. It's mostly gravel.
And there is a definite skid marks.
In fact, so much so that it's actually dug through the gravel down to the ground below. So
now, does it look like there's also motorcycle tracks?
No.
Or another vehicle? Just
no.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll put the car in park, help the other doctor pull the gates to the side, on the grass.
Do a spot hidden for me.
No, fail.
40 is a pass for me.
Looking at the driveway, you would guess that someone went in and those lines are straight, and someone came out and those lines are crazy.
Right. Okay. All right. The crops, are they do they look normal?
To the are you going to drive? You're going to drive in.
I want to turn the car around and back in.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
What we know about the car accident happened here.
Yeah.
And when he was leaving, it was erratically driving. Perhaps whatever he was trying to get away from was what scratched his car up. I'm not. Just when we bring the vehicle in, we need to be very.
That's why I wanted to turn it around and back in. So if we need to gun it out of here, we're already facing the correct direction.
Well, there's plenty of room to turn around once you're inside.
And if we're worried about something that's in the property, it's probably we want to have the vehicle as close to where we are as we can get it and pointing the right way.
Yep.
Right, as long as we just make sure that there's nothing preventing us to make a quick getaway, but this concerns me.
Okay.
Yeah, this looks terrible.
Yeah.
Well, backing in or going forward in, whatever. You go up the long driveway past the fields, and then you come into the compound itself, and there's plenty of room there to park. It's all gravel, except where it's green grass and plantings.
Right. Yeah. Now that we're in there, I do want to check out the fields, and I'll start with the one that's by the greenhouse that in the picture has concentric circles.
Well, let me give you a general outline of what you're seeing when you park the car. And I'm going to assume then that you park the car facing the driveway, so that just go that way. You don't have to turn around or anything. So behind you then would be the farmhouse itself, and next to it, it looks like a shed of some sort, a fairly large shed, probably an equipment shed with farm equipment. You've got the barn to your right. You've got a chicken coop to your left. And you've got a smaller shed and then the greenhouse beyond on your right. It looks like to your left, it's fields of wheat. And this time of year, they're all still green. They look to be healthy and growing and in great condition. There's a scarecrow out there, and there's what you'd expect. Now on your right, it's also lush and green, but there's something very odd. When you walk over to the fence and you look at it, everything in the fields has been planted in consecutive circles. Lots of them, big ones, little ones. It's not a way that people would normally plant plants. It would be extremely difficult to use a machinery to harvest or anything like that.
Should I try a natural world or an ecology to name the plant?
It looks like common vegetables, radishes, carrots.
So circles of radishes and circles of carrots and circles of cabbages next to each other.
Well, there's no cabbages. They all seem to be green leafy plants on them. There might be tomatoes and eggplant and stuff like that. They also don't seem to necessarily be planted together. However, why don't you all do a spot hidden roll?
No.
42 is good.
Okay.
Pal.
Yeah, I failed.
Well, those of you who notice or who passed, you notice that each plant is exactly the same distance from the other plant. They've been planted. You're not quite sure. You'll have to look at it more, but you get the funny impression that a plant was planted and then they were planted exactly equal distance apart, and the spirals just got bigger and bigger and bigger until they bumped into something, and then they'd start another one.
But they're intermixed by species.
Yes.
So even in a spiral, it's tomato, potato, eggplant, pepper. That's really weird.
And sometimes they are next to each other, and sometimes they're not. It seems random.
Yeah, I mean, it seems impossible for mechanical harvesting, but it also seems like a very novel idea. And I'm curious about the greenhouse. How are the chickens looking?
There are no chickens. You're going to walk over to the chicken pen.
Yeah.
You see no chickens, and you see a rather large tear in the chicken wire where on the field side of the chicken coop.
Are there feathers?
Yes, there are bits and pieces of feathers and stuff.
Bone?
I'm sorry?
Bone?
No, you don't see any bone.
I had raccoons kill my chickens in the Catskills. They didn't bother with the beaks. Are there beaks?
No, there doesn't seem. There's a few feathers.
Just feathers.
And that's about all.
Can I do a tracking roll? See if there's any other footprints or animal prints?
You would have to go, if you're looking for them where the chicken is, you'd have to go out into the field itself on the other side of the fence.
That could wait.
I also think we, on the off chance that Peter Tate's alive in the house, we should probably make our presence known before we trespass anymore.
Yeah. So I'm going to use my biology, and for this field of circles, I assume I would know when they would be planted to be as big as they are in August. So I'm trying to determine if they were planted when Gaul on the farm or after Peter had bought the farm.
Do a spot hidden. Well, wait. You said biology.
Yeah.
Roll your whatever your science is for this.
That's a hard.
Okay, it's a bit inconclusive because the species are mixed in the same areas, but it might be that part of the entire field was planted first, and as it was consecutively, more circles were made. So there's definitely, it's almost meandering through it, that over here seem to be the oldest plants, and they, almost like in a serpentine sort of form through the thing, that they get younger and younger.
Right. But yeah, it's probably before he'd bought the farm when it started, and possibly he continued it.
Well, remember, he was only here for 2 days, or for overnight.
Oh, well, then he definitely did plant these. Sorry, I forgot that. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think that's a good idea, though, to let him know we're here. I don't want to start traipsing through someone's field.
Okay.
I'd be very happy to find him with a couple of bottles of hooch next to him, alive and well. I don't think that's what we're going to find.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed, though.
That's right. Okay, well, let's go.
All right. So you go up to the farmhouse, and what do you do?
I make a little bit of noise on the porch, and then I rap firmly 3 times on, I assume there's a screen door. I doubt there's a button.
There's no button.
And assuming there's no response, I'll open the screen door and knock on the wooden door.
No response.
Is it locked?
It is not locked.
Is the door closed, though?
The door's closed, yes.
The door's closed, but it's not locked. All right, so if nobody has an objection, I think his brother's okay with our going in. Let's do it.
All right.
All right.
Entering, I'm going to see if the electricity is on, if the lights come on.
Yes, the electricity does come on.
Does it smell like anything?
No, not really.
Dusty? Is there a pool of green slime everywhere?
No,
That's a little on the nose.
there's no pool of green slime. There's no musky smell. It looks like it was cleaned. Not much in the room. There's a lack of furniture in some place. There is a couple of chairs and like a kitchen table. You can see there are some kitchen utensils that have been left out on the counter, and a couple of things. There's a plate in the sink.
So the front door opens into the kitchen.
No, I mean you can just see this. It's
Right, open-ish
area. You can see that there is a kitchen, a living room, a bathroom. That there's a utility room towards the back. And there's some candles. It looks like maybe he spent a little bit of time here, just that last evening. But do a spot hidden for me.
I trip and fall. I got a 99.
I got a hard.
I made a normal success.
Okay.
And I got an extreme success.
Okay.
Nice.
It's a 5.
I'm
So-
helping Ethan off the floor.
Thank you.
Well, Ethan, you actually walked into the kitchen along with Margaret and Heather. And you perhaps made a comment on the dirty dishes in the sink. There's not much. It's probably one plate that he has dirty and a pan that's dirty. And you're leaning on the sink when you say this. And Dr. Evans, you look over and you notice that there is kind of a green slimy mold growing on the sink itself. And Dr. Ethan has put his hand into it.
Oh, get back in
Heather,
there.
you notice this also.
Should we cut it off? No, I'm like freaking out though. Hand sanitizer? Anyone?
Just stay calm. I'm
Here.
gonna pull out some like sample things, and I want to take some samples of the mold.
Is there some bleach underneath the sink?
There is bleach underneath the sink.
Okay.
I'm gonna wash my hands with the bleach.
Yeah.
And water, I hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doc-
Water in the sink works?
yes, it does. Dr. Flores, do a mycology roll.
Ooh.
Only a standard success, despite my considerable knowledge.
Okay. With a sort of closer examination and a sniff, you're pretty sure it's not a mold or a fungus. It's a moss of some sort.
Is the texture slimy or fuzzy?
Well, you thought it was at first. It seems to be not really adhering to the stainless steel sink, but it's a moss. It's definitely some sort of a moss.
Does it seem to be originating from the drain? Or is
It
there
seems
just
to
a
be,
splash of it?
Seems to be on one side of the drain. On the side of the sink itself, and up a little bit onto the counter, in kind of a random, odd sort of pattern, like it was growing that way.
Right. Good. Can I do a botany to see if I can ID it?
It looks very much. Yeah, I go ahead and do your botany. Ethan, what are you going to do about you're putting your hand in it?
I'm washing in the sink with bleach and hot water.
All right. That seems to clean right off.
Yeah.
In the process, is the sink losing its moss?
You are able to rather easily scrape it off and have it go down the drain.
Does it turn brown in the bleach?
Well,
Or
it
black,
takes
or-
a little bit longer for something like that to happen. But yes, if you examine bits of it, it's definitely killed by the bleach.
Is there a leak above it?
You don't see any leak in the ceiling. Dr. Mills, you are pretty sure it's a fairly common kind of moss you'd see growing on trees.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I look under the sink. Is it like growing down under there? Is it?
It doesn't look like it. You don't see
Okay.
anything under it. It's fairly dry.
Is
Do you see
the
that? Go
is the
ahead.
is the pipes an easy PVC pipe? Like, because I was thinking maybe pull the U joint down and see if it's growing inside the drain.
It looks like the pipes are actually cast iron.
Yeah, I ain't got a tool for that. Okay.
Good pipes.
Yeah.
Old pipes, yeah.
I was
Yeah.
surprised the sink was stainless steel and not porcelain. Something
Okay.
must have happened.
Edition.
Yeah.
Do you all see that that silly movie 8 so years ago, Creep Show, about the farmer who grows moss all over his body?
Exactly what I
Oh,
was
yeah.
thinking about when I touched the
Yeah.
moss.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, how's your hand feel?
It feels normal, Tom, or
Feels normal.
yeah, I think I'm all right.
Smells
Maybe-
like lavender.
Right.
Nice.
Use the soap that's on the sink.
Lavender's better than bleach.
Still creep me out though.
So you guys are all in the kitchen.
Yes, after the stumble and the scream,
Yeah.
it seemed natural. So let's. I mean, it seems obvious that nobody is here. They would have heard us.
Yeah.
We
There
might
is
have,
upstairs, by the way.
I assume from the outside, and it's a farmhouse. But yeah, let's. What do you say we look around this floor, keeping an eye out for strange moss, and then go up to the second floor together. And the
Yeah.
lights did work, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. But he had candles. Sounds a little curious. Maybe he's just a romantic. So I'll take the living room next.
All right.
Be interested in finding anything, text-based, given that he has all those scientific journals in his condo and diary.
He does have a newspaper. It's the Squamish Gazette. It is from the day before he disappeared.
I assume that one of us or two of us were flipping through the paper on the ride over.
Mm-hmm.
I assume there was nothing particularly of note in either of the papers.
No.
Right. But he was interested in local goings-on as well. Flipping through it, there's nothing underlined or torn out or anything. Just a paper, just a local paper.
It actually doesn't look like he ever got around to reading it.
Mm. So there's a kitchen table and 2 chairs in the kitchen. The living room has a couch, a lamp, some boxes.
I'll say there's a couch. But he actually mentioned that he was going to move his things here next weekend. So he never did.
Yeah.
Now, do we know if he was planning on giving up his condo and just moving up here, or we're not? We don't have that information.
Probably, but you don't know that for sure.
All right.
I think it would be much harder to live the lifestyle that he enjoyed out here, but I think he was really interested in getting far away from his life.
Yeah.
Well, he made a bunch of friends in the diner already, so he's not shy.
All right. Was there a pantry in the kitchen?
Yes.
I'll check that out.
All that's in the pantry is a bag of chips,
Oh,
which is open, but it's got a clippy on the top of it.
right. Yeah.
Just the essentials.
Single dude. He's yeah. Good. Open the fridge.
It's a couple of beers.
Oh, good man. Yeah. Okay. All right.
However,
Oh.
the 2 beers are Budweisers, and they're shoved all the way into the back of the fridge.
They're the only thing in there, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Probably had something big in here that he'd put in here, push those bottles to the back. That pushes those bottles to the back. That's what I'm inferring. So,
The skillet and the sink and the plate were consistent with me eating steak and potatoes.
Yeah.
It's so lonely night in town. Yeah.
Is there a telephone?
No.
Radio, TV?
No. Nothing like that.
And you said on the ground floor there was also a room in the back.
Yeah, utility room. It's got a concrete sink with what looks like hookups for a washer and dryer. And there is more of the green moss
On the sink?
growing up the side of the sink. Yeah.
On the inside, but on the side.
Inside and outside of the sink.
Weird.
I'm going to go over there. I'm not touching the moss, of course. I'm going to turn the sink on and kind of splash some water on the moss and see what happens. So we saw what happened when the bleach got on it.
Nothing in particular. It gets wet.
Okay. All right.
But you do notice that it's very healthy. looking.
Right, it's lush. And is this room does it even have a window?
Yes, there's a little window.
A little window. But the tap wasn't running, so it's not getting any water. And this
I think
isn't
it's
like
dry.
a kind of moss that usually grows on trees.
And in the house, which is, I mean, no, it's the kind that would normally grow on trees, but in this case, it's not very bright in here. There's not much sunlight.
Yeah.
Didn't they say? I'm sorry. Go.
Well, I mean, if it's usually on the side of wood and not on the side of either stainless steel or of concrete, then it's behaving very abnormally. And it's either been transplanted recently, so it's still alive, or something else is happening.
Now, didn't they say Old Man Gall was working on, like, he had good soil, he was working on some kind of project for agriculture? Maybe it was some sort of nutrient or fertilizer. Maybe where it was used, the remnants might have, like, it's 2 sinks. Maybe he poured some stuff down the sink, a little spore landed, and it started to grow quicker than it would normally grow.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Well, if he was doing all these experiments, why did he sell the place?
Maybe he found what he needed, got the formula he needed, and
just left it here?
And why didn't he want to talk to us when we called him?
the farm was already sold.
True.
Yeah. And he's an asshole. So.
Or maybe, no, that thing came from Don Biozyme. I was thinking maybe he created it.
We're a fair ways out from Delilah, so this property has to have a well on it, and we should have a look at the well before we leave today, if we have time. Because if this thing is growing, in sinks, well, we should see what the tub is like upstairs too.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a bathroom down here. Let's have a look at that.
Yeah. Well, we might want to snag a water sample out of one of these.
Okay. Yeah, we brought those water bottles once we're done.
Yeah.
Just-
Capture some of that.
Be sure to label it clearly.
Yeah.
And we might as well put some of this moss in a container too. And again,
Yeah,
I've got
yeah.
cute
Yeah.
little plastic snap bottles.
Okay. The bathroom seems to be relatively clean. It looks like there are some reddish stains in both the sink and the toilet, which you would probably guess would be from iron in the water. That's what it looks like. And in fact, yes, there is a well outside. Of course, it's not like an old-fashioned well. It's a machine that's hooked up to electricity, and there's pipes going into the ground. So It's not something you can dip in and get some water.
Yeah.
No, but there's going to be some kind of access to it for checking, as rainfall patterns and stuff change. You've got to have a dipstick or examples that's built in.
Well, it's probably a 1,500-foot deep well, that's just feeding off the water table.
It would probably have
You
gauges.
can definitely get you can get there's gauges on it, and you can get samples from it. And there's also the pipes are wrapped so that in the winter you can plug it in so that it doesn't freeze.
All right. But it's not covered with weird moss.
No.
There's no sign of anything awry. The machines are functional.
Correct.
Was there any mail? Do we remember seeing a mailbox outside?
There is a mailbox outside. There's no mail. There's a mailbox all the way out.
Right.
At the gate.
Driveway. There's
It still bothers me that the mailman didn't even send me with the smashed gate. But I'm just overthinking.
All right. Well, press on upstairs.
Yeah. Is there a door to a cellar as well?
No, there's no cellar.
Now, when we pulled up, did we see like a storm cellar or
No.
No, okay. It's more of a Midwest thing. All right.
Yeah, you don't find many basements in California.
Okay. All right.
So you start heading upstairs, and when you get to the top of the stairs, you do notice more of the green moss, and it's growing on part of the railing. It doesn't seem to be coming from anywhere or going anywhere. It's a patch of green moss growing there. Seems to be healthy and strong and
And what's the railing made of?
wood.
That's a wood. Okay.
I try and find a pattern. You would wash your hands in the sink. You would touch that railing as you're walking. Maybe whoever is, they touch something and then wash their hands in the sink and touch the railing, like the residue or something on their fingers.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah, that's totally reasonable, although we have both sinks are involved for whatever reason.
You
We'll
go to
see
the
what-
bathroom, wash your hands, come in, wash your hands before you go to the fridge.
The bathroom was okay, though. I don't know. The pattern isn't clear. If I take a pencil and pry up the edge of the mossy patch,
Mhm.
does the railing under it seem affected in any way? Is there a discoloration, or do I peel off?
Yes, it definitely seems like the moss is adhering to the wood by sending little
Tendrils.
into it. So you can see that it is slowly rotting the wood, although it's not that bad. It hasn't been going for a long time yet.
And there's the railing is either painted or varnished. Is there any spread of decay outside of the moss?
Doesn't look like it. No.
Is the moss shaped like a handprint?
No.
That would be handy. Would help make sense.
Upstairs, you have basically three things. You have one bathroom and you have two bedrooms. One bedroom has a bed in it, and it definitely looks like this is probably where Peter slept. The other room is unfurnished.
Okay.
Is there moss in the bed?
No, there's not.
Okay.
You don't find any more trace of moss upstairs.
All right.
And upstairs, and the bedroom is empty aside from the bed.
Correct. Yeah. There's
Okay.
just a bed.
There's no VHS tapes or
Oh,
okay.
Is there a suitcase?
There is not.
So we haven't seen any sign of him moving
No.
yet.
Right now, he didn't mention anything about moss in his journals, did he?
I don't know.
Is there a bathroom
Is moss-
upstairs?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
This moss has gone everywhere rather quickly then.
Yeah.
But there's no moss in the upstairs bathroom, right?
Correct.
I look under the bed. Anything?
Dust.
Ugh. Yes.
No
Empty
attic,
closet?
right?
I'm going to take some samples of the water from the various taps in the house.
Okay.
Maybe there's something like spores or seedlings or something, some organic matter in there.
Okay.
And there's no attic, correct?
There's like a crawl space. I'm sure there's probably a sort of an attic, but it's something that you can't get up into. You could open it up and put some stuff up there. Probably Christmas stuff or something like that. So we'll say there's a square.
One of those pull doors.
Yeah, that would be if you had a real big attic up there. In this case, it's just a square. You'd have to actually get a ladder and climb up there.
Yeah.
And except for the newspaper that doesn't look read, there's no reading material.
Mm-mm.
Is there any indication of an empty beer? Was there any garbage?
There is a little bit of garbage, but it all looks like packaging for the meat and the potatoes. There is no beer has been drunk.
Those
not
beers
bad,
might
man.
have. Oh, sorry. They might have been left over from Gaul too.
So it seems.
Yeah.
So we barely spent any time here. He lit some candles, but the light fixtures work.
They're new candles. They haven't been lit.
Oh, they're new candles. Are they tapers?
No, they're
Pillars.
those little fat pillars.
Mm-hmm.
Do an idea roll.
28. That's a hard success.
It's possible that he didn't know whether the electricity was working or not, or whether it might fail and he might need candles.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
But it's not moss that scared him out of the house in such a hurry that he smashed through his own gate.
No.
Right.
No way.
Who wants to see the greenhouse?
Oh, definitely.
I think we should all stick together. Remember, there
Yeah,
was
that'd
that
be
whole.
really
strange if we don't find any moss in the greenhouse.
Now, have we looked inside of the chicken coop?
Not
No.
yet.
No, you haven't really examined that area. You saw some feathers, and that's it,
And a lack of chickens.
and a lack of chickens.
Sure, let's stop by the chicken coop and see if we can get any idea of what tore into it before we go to the greenhouse. The greenhouse door is closed, right? As it appears.
Well, from where if you're next to the house, you can't even see the greenhouse. It's on the other side of the barn.
Right.
Right. When we pulled up, that wasn't like the door was gaping open.
No, correct. You haven't seen any doors open.
Okay, chicken coop.
All right, you go over to the chicken coop. Do a spot hidden for me.
36 out of 50.
Aside from a few feathers, those of you who passed, aside from a few feathers, you don't see much, though you do notice that whatever tore the chicken fence open did it from the outside. And some of the pieces of wire, where they're sharp, you do see what looks like dried blood.
Can we get a sample of it at all? I know it's dried. Can we scrape it off?
You'd have to try to scrape it off, sure.
And if that's blood at that point, it could be a coyote, it could be a dog, it
Yeah.
could be.
The hole isn't large.
Yeah.
It's possible that a dog or a coyote could have done it.
It certainly doesn't look like one of our specimens.
No.
Can I
You
do a
also notice that you mentioned tracking roll.
or natural world, either one?
whatever it was that did this would have been in the field on that side of the fence. And you don't see any damage to the field, so it wouldn't have been a big thing. A bear would have knocked over wheat, made a trail, and so forth. So it could have been something small.
Sorry.
Okay. Well,
To the greenhouse?
Well, now you've got you're going back towards the house. You've got what looks like a garage or the equipment shed, the barn, the shelter, and then the greenhouse. Unless you want to bypass all that and go straight to the greenhouse.
Sure. Let's look at the first large equipment shed. Maybe there'll be some tractor with big wheels on one side and small wheels on the other for going in circles.
Yeah.
All right.
Very specialized piece of equipment.
The tractor shed seems to be an affair made out of brick and corrugated steel. There's no lock on it, but it's got one of those doors that you lift up, like this, like a garage door. You flip that up, and inside there is definitely a tractor and what looks like a lot of farming equipment. Looks like fairly standard farming equipment, and it doesn't look like it's in very good shape. Looks like it's sat there for a while. It's pretty dusty. There's also farming implements on the walls, and
right,
what you'd expect to find on a farm.
Is there a slop sink?
I don't know what that is, but okay.
It's like a trophy kind of sink that's meant for stuff that you wouldn't want to put in a delicate sink.
Yeah, definitely. Like made out of fiberglass, mostly.
Could be, yeah. Usually they have big drains and maybe,
It's also not, it's stained, and it's not
not recently and healthfully used.
Correct.
Any sign of moss?
You don't see any moss. You do see signs of paint, things like that brushes have been cleaned out on it and so forth.
Is the equipment so disused that the tires are flat?
Do a spot hidden for me.
I'm curious about rust too. 44. I think I got 44 twice. That's a good.
I would say that, the tires look a little flat. There's definitely some rust in places. Some of the paint is chipped off, and they were used at one point, it's obvious, and probably put away clean, but they've been here for a while.
It doesn't seem like that should be the condition for wheat that was planted this spring. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's a bit fast.
I wonder if that means that the wheat, again, since we knew he let people act as tenant farmers, if that wheat was planted by somebody other than Gaul. Because whatever experimental agriculture he was doing, he wasn't using anything in here.
Yeah.
Is there a lawnmower in here too?
Yeah, there's a small lawnmower for
and the grass is normal, but maybe that had to do with the people who were selling the property for Gaul. You run a lawnmower across the.
Just to make it look pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, your guess is that, yes, sometime in the last month, the grass in patches had been mowed, but not since then.
Right.
Any ideas, folks?
No, let's go on over to the large barn.
Yeah.
All right.
We haven't had to use keys once.
Nope.
But that's not surprising out here.
Yeah.
And when he left in a hurry, it seems.
So you go over to the barn, and there is a chain that's hanging from one of the handles on the barn door. It is not chained. It's not locked. There's a key. There's a lock hanging from it. It looks like a padlock. But the doors are not, in fact, chained closed. You can open them without any trouble at all. Inside, there's hay. There's a couple of bales of hay. Although there's not very much. It doesn't look like he had any kind of animals. Some more farm equipment, pitchfork, things like that. Looks
Are
like
there stalls?
might have been one stall for a horse at one point, but it's empty. Doesn't look like it's been used.
Chicken feed?
Definitely, there's chicken feed stored in there.
There
And
should be some kind of water source there too. I'm going to look for moss.
you do find a faucet and a small sink, but no moss. And about the time that you find that or notice it, you do notice a few things in here. There are a number of 5-gallon gas cans, 3 of them. They're painted bright red. And there are 2 containers on a shelf that look like this. I just have one of them. But.
Herbicide.
In the journal, it does say that he purchased some.
Yeah.
Does anybody have, well, I guess you all have ecology of some sort or body.
I have ecology
Yeah.
and biology.
Yeah.
Why don't you guys roll, whichever one you've got best on that.
Also, I can read the word danger in English and Spanish.
Ooh.
I have a success on biology.
I got extreme in like ecology of 14.
Yeah, my ecology is also, oh, that's just a hard success, but
I failed.
Gramoxone is the trade name for paraquat, which is methyl viologen dichloride. It's an all-purpose herbicide. It kills anything green. It also poisons the ground.
Hmm.
when did paraquat become famous? There was a scandal
Paraquat
specific to
became
it.
famous in the 70s because the United States sent helicopters along with the Mexican government to spray it all over the marijuana plants.
That's right.
It
It was the Agent Orange of the war on drugs.
And then they found out that it is extremely toxic. And they were afraid that people who smoked the marijuana would actually be poisoning themselves because it doesn't break down very well in the ground. It's a salt. It's a kind of salt. 2 teaspoons of it will kill a human being.
And he bought a lot of it
Yeah.
for the farm specifically.
Maybe it was about the moss.
It's a commercial herbicide.
It'd be a weird thing to use inside your own home, though.
Do a spot hidden for me.
'82's not going to get it.
Yeah, I just made a hard 26 for 27.
Yeah, I don't have a spot hidden then.
I'm going to say that from the condition of these bottles, you'd say they're probably not new. That these have been sitting here a while.
Okay, but they were on his wasn't Weed Killer on his to buy list?
Correct.
Yeah, 2 gallons of weed killer who's on his.
Oh, but to buy.
Yeah.
He hadn't bought anything yet. Maybe, unless he bought it from the general store.
Well, he did have 3 5-gallon cans of gasoline, and there's 3 5-gallon cans of gas here. Do they look like new cans?
Not necessarily, no. I
So-
did forget to mention something else, and that's that back over where the equipment shed is, there's an electric generator.
Okay.
Now, is paraquat openly sold, or is there a restriction?
It's restricted. It's only sold to commercial farmers, and you have to have sort of a license to use it because it's so dangerous.
So maybe he
They wouldn't sell
purchased.
it.
Right. Maybe he purchased the old bottles off of an existing farm around the area.
Or these were left by Gaul. That's
yeah,
what I think.
or yeah, was that shopping list? Did we do a handwriting analysis on that? Do we know that Tate was the one who wrote that?
I'd say that yeah, you're pretty sure. It was from the same notebook that you
Okay.
found in his car.
I just wonder what kind of weed he was trying to control. If it wasn't the moss, maybe if we go out into the fields, we'll find out.
Yeah, and the greenhouse as well.
Yeah.
So, and we didn't. There was no smaller 2-gallon weed killer in the house or in the.
Not that you found.
So it doesn't look like we've missed anything that Tate himself bought, and this gasoline might precede him as well.
Would you all do spot hiddens for me?
23 out of 50.
88.
88 too.
Ooh,
Ooh.
There we go.
rolled higher.
That's got to count for something, right?
Who passed?
Just shy of a hard.
Okay. Ethan, you're standing there. You're looking at all of this, and something catches your eye, sort of out of the corner of your eye. You guys are inside the barn. The barn is, regular barn, 2 stories high. Something up in the darkness of the rafters up above, you can see 2 little green eyes staring at you. Now, just like any barn, there's ladders going up, and there's platform, and it's open and all that. So there's ways to get up there if you need to.
So I'm going to try not to react, and I'm going to look, and I'm going to turn my back to it. Like, I'm still looking up at the sun. I'm like, guys, don't move, but I swear there's 2 green eyes looking at me from the rafters. I know I'm not going crazy. I see them. I'm going to turn back around and look at them if you follow my eyes, and then I'm going to look back to where it was.
It's a barn cat, right?
Yeah. I look up where Ethan looked.
Dr. Flores, Dr. Mills, when you look up and you sort of shift your gaze side to side, it is in fact a cat that's up there, and it's staring down at you.
I'm freaking myself out, man.
It's also at as far up as it can possibly get on the rafters.
Pull up my flashlight and kind of shine it on it.
Okay, the second you do that, the cat reacts by tensing up and going, and
Kitty, kitty, kitty.
We got some. We've got some cold cuts on these sandwiches from the diner. Can I have a piece of ham or something? I'll try to fling it up onto the rafter between us and the cat and see if it is comforted by that or invited.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'll take the light off of it too, so I'm not.
All right, you do your best to toss something up there. But when you toss something in its general direction, it reacts by arching its back and acting like it's completely terrified.
I don't like the fact that it's so on edge.
Well,
It's up there for a reason. Maybe something chased it up there.
Yeah.
I'm going to start looking at the floor for scratch marks.
It's a dirt floor with
Okay, it's a dirt
with
floor.
hay
Okay.
on it. So
Yeah, never mind.
I'm going to start climbing a ladder and go up one platform.
Okay.
Dr. Mills, do you?
Yeah,
I would feel more comfortable if I preceded you up that ladder.
Oh, okay. Well, I would too. So, come down the 2 rungs and.
Yeah, if you keep a flashlight handy on me, I've got one in my pocket. But
No problem.
I'm gonna stick.
Proceed up to the first level with some speed, and then slowly look above it.
Yeah, as Dr. Flores is doing that, I'm gonna get closer to Dr. Carlisle and looking around, kind of nervous.
Okay. The cat can tolerate you coming up the ladder, except after that, it's backed itself up into the rafter, up into the corner, and it's hissing and it's growling at you and glaring at you.
Can somebody toss me another piece of ham?
Sure. Throw it up.
I mean, Dr. Desmond, I am a vet. I have some experience with this. Maybe.
Yeah, does this, and I'm calling down from the edge. There's nothing on the second level except for some old hay.
Right.
There's nothing writhing in the corner.
No, there's no monsters riding in the corner. Oh, wait, here it comes. No, the cat just seems genuinely spooked by something.
I do have animal handling.
Okay.
That's my main skill, basically.
All right, let's switch places. I'm going to toss the second piece of ham halfway between me and the cat, and then go away and see if the cat likes that.
I'm going to go up very quietly and try and coax it out and use my ability.
Dr. Carlisle, go ahead and use your animal handling ability.
1.
Nice.
1.
I wasted a roll to get a cat.
You've won a brand new friend.
You managed to get within 5 feet of it, and everything in your experience tells you that this cat will scratch the fuck out of you if you try to get any closer to it. It will go into automatic tear you to shreds mode and run. So you're a little wary of that because you've seen that look in animals that are cornered before.
What I'm going to do is, while I'm up here, just take a quick glance around, see if there's anything noteworthy.
You don't see anything at all.
Slowly start coming down, and I'll relay to the rest of the team that this animal suffered some major trauma. It will attack me if I get any closer. It's just going to need some time to come down. In fact, let's just leave one of these whole meals out for it at some, and I'll leave it on the second, the in-between story.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, it'll come down and eat it, and we'll see if we can gain its trust at a later time. Let it relax.
What do you think, Doc? Does it look like it's been eating? Does it look like it's in distress? I mean, physical distress as well as...
That's what I was going to ask you. Did I notice any damage to it? Does it look like its tail's broke? Or
It looks like a cat that hasn't groomed itself in a while. It's shaking. So its fur is kind of... It doesn't look like a cat normally does, where it's nice and slick and so forth. But it doesn't look like you don't see any wounds or anything on it.
It doesn't seem to be hurt, but it is a barn cat. They're usually here to scare the rats out. It's definitely, like I said, it suffered some sort of trauma. And seeing the way that he tore out with his car, I'm assuming it was the same trauma that our departed friend also dealt with. So we'll just give it some space, leave it some food. We could check back on it. Worst case scenario, we could send animal control up.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. If we really wanted it, we got the tranks. So
we could leave some food for it. Animals are pretty, cats are pretty self-reliant. It's not gonna starve them. If it was the middle of winter, I'd worry more, but she'll find her way down and eventually.
All right.
As far as I know, farm cats and house cats have wiped out something like 2.5 million songbirds a year in North America. So yeah, it won't starve unless it stays up here scared. Maybe we scared it. I don't know why.
I think it's more than just human. This thing was terrified.
Right now. Now about that, we were assuming that the car damage was from whoever attacked Peter while he was parked there, but that's not true.
I'd say there's a really good chance that he got damaged here.
Right, and he parked his car there, and then
Who knows?
was he trying to fake his own death? Maybe.
Dude, that's what I'm thinking now. But if so, where did he go? Or
You're muted.
Yeah, it seems really strange to make the inroads he made here and then fake his own death, rather than just fake his own death from San Damiel and buy a property in Patagonia or someplace a lot farther than Delilah, and not tell people in town his name.
Yeah. Well, maybe what he was running from in San Damiel, he didn't think would follow him here, and it was. But,
yeah, it doesn't look like biker gangs, though.
No.
Yeah.
Gonna finish kind of walking through the ground floor of the barn, see if I spot anything else.
You don't see anything else. It seems, for all intents and purposes, mostly like an unused barn.
Okay.
Right, and there isn't like a strong like animal smell in here either, right?
Mm-mm.
All right, let's see what's in the greenhouse. It should be hotter than all hell in there.
Well, and it's hot where you are right now. You're in the middle of a heat wave.
Yeah, we're having a heat wave in inland California, and this greenhouse, the image I got pulling up was that it was all sealed up. So I would expect everything inside to be burnt brown.
Yeah. Well, there is that small little tool shed that we'll have to walk past. We might as well open that one up too.
There could be some more chemistry in there.
Yeah.
Well, when you step over to the small, looks like a small tool shed, that's when you notice that there is a plastic bag sitting there that does have some small bottles of weed killer and a couple other little things like that. Other than that, inside the tool shed is exactly what you expect: rakes, shovels, post hole diggers.
Does the plastic bag have like a store logo on it or anything?
Yeah, it's from
F.W. Herman or Cooper Seed?
Yeah, we'll say F.W. Herman.
Okay. So this is that was the store on the his to-do list for the farm. So it's a good.
You can also see clearly from where you are now. You're looking right past that at the greenhouse. And what you actually see is that there's a greenhouse on the left, and there is a small building on the right. You can either enter through a door into the greenhouse, or you can enter through a door into this other building.
What's growing in the greenhouse now that we're closer? Can we see through the glass?
Now that when you go up, well, you can't see much through the glass because it is solid foliage. You're seeing leaves pressed right up against the glass. You definitely see moisture. It seems like it's so densely overgrown that you can't really see into the interior.
And this little building to the right attached to the greenhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Does it have windows?
Yes, it does. It looks like a lab. When you look through the windows, you can see definitely some equipment, some bottles on shelves, some things like that. Although it also seems to have things growing in it.
Mm-hmm. I know I'm speaking from a position of excessive caution, but I wonder if we shouldn't get a spray bottle of one of those herbicides before we go into these buildings.
You know, that might not be a bad idea.
Because all we know now is that something probably local killed the hens, and something made Peter Tate, presumably, flee this property unpursued by obvious causes.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm assuming in the tool sheds we didn't find because with this being so overgrown, I was like, maybe might need a machete to get through it. I'm assuming.
There's no machete, but there's definitely lobbers and clippers. And
Okay.
Probably a hatchet or two.
I'll go grab me a lopper.
Yep, same here.
And the big paraquat jugs, those are to be poured into machines and sprayed.
They would actually be diluted.
You have to be lighted.
And then poured in sprayers and things. Maybe you find in the little shed, you find some sprayers.
Yeah, I'd like
plastic.
Oh, you pump up and then you spray.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Let's get ready to kill some plants. Now, the punctures in Peter's vehicle.
The scratches, you mean?
The gouges and scratches in the vehicle. Could a woody, thorn-like material possibly make that?
I suppose under the right conditions, maybe. It would have to be something pretty tough.
Yeah.
If you're planning on spraying that herbicide, we might want to wrap a handkerchief or maybe a T-shirt, or we'll go see if there's some curtains and cut them up.
It might be the kind of thing that they wear gas masks.
Yeah, it might be really respirator stuff.
I would say yes, absolutely. But in case, hypothetically speaking, a vine comes out of there, I'd better than nothing just breathing it in. Try not to spray it at all, but
the pathways between these outbuildings, are they gravel or just earth?
They're all gravel.
Any signs of footprints or other marks? Is there a sign of struggle?
No. They don't really show footprints very well. It's fairly coarse, sharp gravel, so it's not going to show footprints.
All right. Well, I think we should check out the lab. I mean,
but do you want to go in there without preparation other than hatchet and lopper?
no, I say take a spray bottle, but only spray it if something insane happens. And if you do, let us know so we can back up, or at least put your shirt over.
Yeah, we could have a spray if some plant moves policy, since we know that we've got a specimen of a thing that is kind of plant-like and also moves.
Well, I want you to consider also that herbicides don't exactly kill instantaneously. They usually absorb and take a day or two to kill something. So
it might be repellent to something, though. If an evil leaf came at me and I sprayed it with an herbicide, it might think, ew, and not dinner. Again, we saw the Creepshow movie, and then the Roger Corman movie, Little Shop of Horrors, with a big plant that eats people.
Now, if we would have had this conversation 2 weeks ago, I would have said this is absolute fantasy. But after seeing what we have at the lab, I can't discount anything.
Yeah, before meeting a tree stump-looking thing that has a bunch of mouths on it and can't be X-rayed, that's one thing. But the fact that there's a relationship between that thing and this farm,
All right, so
I feel crazy? Yeah, I feel crazy.
Yeah. All right. Let's go up to the lab door. Is it swing in or a swing out?
It would swing out. So you're going to the lab door.
Yeah.
Not to the greenhouse door.
Yep.
All
Okay.
right.
Now, Dr. Desmond Flores got me paranoid, so I'm going to look like an idiot, I'm sure. I'm going to grab it, open it and kind of like swing it where, the door's between me and kind of peek around the corner.
And I'm standing by with 2 clippers.
Hatchet, spray can.
When you open the door, there is something large, green, and leafy as the door swings open that suddenly comes out the door. But it just sort of hangs there. And you realize something was growing up next to the door. And when you moved the door, it simply no longer had support.
Right.
But it just looks like a plant. It's just hanging there.
Was Harold Gall?
Blocking the door.
I am going to shriek and clip at it though. Oh, good heavens!
Was Harold Gall a pot farmer?
A pot farmer. He didn't care about money, so I don't think so.
Is the mass of green matter that falls shaped like a shrub or shaped like something else?
Well, I think that I'll leave it at that part. And we can start working on identifying the plants and stuff as we start next week. I think that's a good spot.
So be it.
Our players included David Gassaway, Morgan Llewellyn, Brian Daly, Keith Craig, and Jason Melnichuk, with myself as the keeper of the secrets. We're currently producing up to 5 shows a week with music and sound effects added in post-production in order to create a richer listener experience. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Podbean or iTunes. The costs involved with our shows are provided almost entirely by our patrons. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. We have a new patron, Trevor Wiltshire, who is now contributing $3 a month. Thank you so much, Trevor. If you would like to support our show, please visit our Patreon account. Just $1 or $2 a month helps a lot. You can find a link in the description below. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel and punch that bell icon for updates on our latest shows. And leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answering any questions you might have. This is Tom Rayleigh, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft with a Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck and good gaming.